Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak for July 28, 2020. Today is Tuesday, and I have a great news for you. I got hired, yeah, as a nurse at Virginia Hospital Center in Arlington, Virginia, which is where I live. So the hospital is like 2 miles from where I am, and I'll be working there starting August. So if you get COVID-19, come to Virginia Hospital Center. Maybe I'll be treating you, you know? Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to share that good news with you. As I said, I will, share the news when I know. So they extended me the offer and I accepted the offer. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty, I'm very excited. Um, I actually had two offers today. I had an interview on Friday. I had an interview on Monday. And so Virginia Hospital Center interview was yesterday, Monday. And another hospital interviewed me on Friday. Um, and both of them extended a job offer to me. So, today was a very happy day. Yeah. So the other hospital is in Richmond, Virginia. As you know, I taught at Petersburg City Public School, so it's in that area, and it's a big hospital. And yeah, you know, I would have loved to go back and see my old friends. I'll be treating my students and their parents. But yeah, but yeah, I noticed, to move down there or to have a place there while working there, I would have to get an apartment or something, because it's a 12-hour shift every day. And it's probably like, it's going to cost quite a bit, you know? Um, yeah, so that was the only downside, some people drive like, every day to work, but, that's kind of tough, Um, but yeah, it's you know, um, Virginia Hospital Center, as you know, was my top choice. So you know, I'm glad I got Virginia Hospital Center too. I was deciding between the two. But I am running for Virginia's 8th district for U.S. Congress. I eventually want to run for Senate in Virginia sometime. So I thought, working in the Richmond area may not be a bad idea as well from that vantage point in the long run. But I guess I have to first focus on my, you know, U.S. House of Representative race that's coming up in November, November 3rd, 2020. Yeah, so I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I like Virginia Hospital Center. I went to their recruitment event and I loved it. I loved all the people I met there. So I'm really excited. I'll be working there starting August. Georgetown's 2-year long uh, clinical nurse leader program, master's program, is finished in August, and I'll connect seamlessly into Virginia Hospital Center's program. And so I'm really excited. so, yeah. Yeah, so come to Virginia Hospital Center if you have COVID-19. Maybe you'll be treated by me, So, yeah, it's I live in Arlington, so everything here, is kind of cozy. I taught math at Wakefield High School, so I may see some of my students and their parents. During summertime, I taught at Savoy Elementary School before going to Georgetown University for my master's, including a nurse program. That was like a 2-year intensive program that started in August 2018 or June 2018 if you include the pre-course. Um, yeah, so so I'm really excited, Yeah, so I could like just wake up, go to work at Virginia Hospital Center. It's like 12-hour shift. I come home and I can just crash. I don't have to drive like an hour. So yeah, I mean, it's a blessing when you have choices, And I don't know. I feel very humbled by the fact that two major hospitals wanted to hire me, in August. So, I'm very thankful for that. I'm very good at what I do, so I'm not surprised, obviously. I actually had an interview today as well with Um, well, yeah, I guess I could mention it because I told them that I'll be working at Virginia's Hospital Center. So I had an interview today with Sibley Hospital in Washington D.C. So Sibley Hospital is part of the Johns Hopkins University hospital network, and Sibley Hospital is like right in Washington D.C. So they were going to interview me today, and then I saw, I got offered from a Virginia Hospital Center, and that's like my top choice. I'm like 2 miles from there. I like the people there when I went to the recruitment event, and yeah, it's like the most convenient, for me. And I know some good people from Georgetown who work there now. So yeah, so I'm like really excited. So I contacted Sibley Hospital and said, I got an offer and I decided to take it. So I kind of canceled the interview with Sibley today. But you know, so had I gone to Sibley for an interview, maybe I would have had 3 job offers this week. It's only Tuesday. But I'm really happy with the Virginia Hospital Center. Um, and Sibley Hospital, they were saying like, keep them in mind for future, and they like left the door open. They're like, yeah, just like contact us anytime you want a job here, So I was like, okay, so it's good, Sibley Hospital is a pretty good hospital, Johns Hopkins hospital system is one of the best in the country, from what I understand. Yeah, but yeah, so I guess a lot of people want me. What can I say? I'm excited. So Virginia Hospital Center is very lucky to have me. Snatched me away from the impending claws of Sibley Hospital. you know, but I haven't had clinicals in Sibley, but people who have had clinicals in Sibley told me that it's really good. I actually haven't had clinical in Virginia Hospital Center either, because um, I went to Innova Fairfax when some of my core members went to Virginia Hospital Center. So I, you know, there are several hospitals you could go to. So that's where I was assigned. So I went to Innova Fairfax for clinical. Um, yeah, I'm very happy with Virginia Hospital Center. It's like literally, I just like drive down Carlin Springs, and I'm there like after like a mile and a half. It's like so close to my home, And yeah, I'm happy as a clam, and everybody seems so nice there, the interviewer, and I talked to 2 people that I'll be working with who I guess peer interviews, and they seem like really nice people. So I'm really looking forward to kind of getting to know them better and working with them, supporting them, working as a team. So I'm really excited, yeah. So I'm happy as a clan, but yeah, yeah. So come to Virginia Hospital Center, you'll see me. As you know, I'll be working there starting August. And if I win in November 3rd, I'm hoping to, obviously, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm working hard to win. If I win in November, beat Don Bayer, then I'll be going to U.S. Congress. I'll be sworn in January. So that's what I'm hoping. But if I don't win, I'll continue to work at Virginia Hospital Center, obviously. And so, yeah, so that's my plan right now. And my money is kind of running low because I borrowed $200,000 to get my master's degree at Georgetown. If the program is over, I need like money to sustain myself. So thank God I got something, to start right after I finish at Georgetown. Thank God for that. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of my friends start congratulating me, and yeah, I let my friends, you know, who are in this area, Virginia's 8th district, Virginia 10th district, Virginia's 11th district know, like Manga Power. She's running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 11th district, so I let her know. I let some of my friends in Virginia 10th district know, like Mark Truong, who was running for uh, U.S. Congress in Virginia's 10th district. Um, you know, uh, he didn't win, but I like all of them. Obviously all of them are my friends. But So I let him know, and like congratulations are flowing in, which is good to know. I'm a private citizen until I get sworn in to be a U.S. congressman. So I am one of the people. I am like you. We are all U.S. citizens, right? So we are all equals, and you can run for any of the political offices. And if you win, you get sworn in. So that's the great thing about America. Anybody can run for anything, you know? And so, yeah, so I am basically democracy kind of working itself out right before your eyes, I'll be working as a nurse in Virginia Hospital Center. You'll see me working there, and then I'm just a private citizen, obviously. And if I win, I get sworn in, and it could be like that for you too. So, I encourage all of you to consider running for office, get involved in, your civic responsibility. I'm running to help you and people of Virginia State District and the citizens throughout the United States of America, since if I win and become a U.S. congressman, I'll be a congressman for all 50 states and U.S. territories, right? It's a national body, U.S. Congress. So I represent Virginia State District, but I set policies at the federal level or national level. So I'm really, looking forward to winning, hopefully. So vote for me. But yeah, come and check me out at Virginia Hospital Center. Yeah, anytime you need to come to the emergency room, I'm not working at the emergency room, but you might end up in my unit, So yeah, come to ask for Virginia's Hospital Center. Yeah, so I'm very excited. Um, yeah, and so I have the track that I'm going as a professional nurse. And if I get elected to U.S. Congress, then I go to that track. But yeah, we'll see. But anyway, so I'll be saving lives at Virginia Hospital Center starting August. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, so I'm sure you're excited too, because I'm sure you are like, kind of nervous that I would not be, working at a hospital near you. So now I'm like working at a hospital just like a few miles from you if you live in Arlington. So you can just like come there. And yeah. Um, so yeah, so like I'm excited. I know there are several people who got hired so far who shared in our cohort. Cohort 25 of us were pinned in May as clinical nurse leader program cohort members, class of 2020. So I know Lena. She's a German American, and she actually is going to be working at Virginia Hospital Center. So I'll probably run into her. Uh, yeah, and I think we're working at different units, but yeah, but it's one hospital. Everybody's a team, so I like Lena. So I'm looking forward to like kind of being in the larger family of Virginia Hospital Center with her. And I know Mila. I don't think she's at Virginia Hospital Center. She's got hired. She signed a contract, or signed on. Um, and so I think she may be at a different hospital. But Mila, she's from Minnesota. So she has a job. She got an offer, and Maggie, who's like my virtual clinical group, she told us that she'll be working at MedStar Washington Hospital Center. So yeah, so I guess we're not going into different hospitals for those of us who are going to be staying in this area. I know some people are going back home, but yeah, so it's kind of exciting. Yeah. Um, well, Georgetown University generally has a program in July and January. And so most clinical nurse leaders, they don't apply to Georgetown or because they would have to wait until January to start because our program goes into August. So, um, I guess a lot of bachelor's students go to MedStar Georgetown because they finish in May, and the program at Georgetown MedStar Hospital starts like in July. But I think most CNLs, clinical nurse leaders, they're not really go to MedStar Georgetown. Um, at least that's been the experience that I've seen. But yeah, but anyway, I'm close, so I could drop by Georgetown University and see my professors whom I love, all my professors are so amazing. They told me so much. So I'm so excited. I'm nearby, so I could drop by for stuff, when there's an interesting lecture, and yeah, so I'm excited. Um, and so, so I'm really excited about this. Yeah. So, yeah. Um, yeah, today is Hepatitis Day, World Hepatitis Day. So you see that sign over there. Um, you know, uh, it's bad. I have to tell you, things are really bad with COVID-19. Look at this. We have 1,171 deaths in 24 hours. Death rate is going up. Like as I predicted, I'm Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District, and it's really, really sad. Death rate is going up. Death rate is going up as a nation and in states as well. Death rates are going up. So I'm predicting that 10,000 people will die per day in the summertime as death rates in each state goes up. Um, and it's unfortunate. I wish that weren't the case, but it looks like it's happening as I predicted. One of the one of the sad things about being Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century, that's who I am, Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress, is that I'm rarely wrong. I'm almost always right. And it's a curse of being the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century. Um, yeah. Um, what I fear the most is schools in Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax County, and Falls Church opening because I'm predicting that thousands of children in Virginia's 8th District will die during the flu season. I'm just really worried about that. Now I'm going to be working in a hospital. Um, so I'll see that all like happening, as it happens. The flu season starts in the fall, so we'll see some of that. We'll see maybe a lot of that before the election day itself. So I'm just dreading, flu season, and then thousands of people in Arlington, Alexandria Falls, Church of Fairfax, being rushed to the hospital because of COVID-19 and then dying. Yeah, it's coming in the fall. Obviously, this is what I've been trained for. I've been training for 2 years, borrowed $200,000, and with interest being paid over 30 years, it's like $500,000 I have to pay back for for uh, for 2 years of masters in clinical nurse leader program. But I say it's all worth it because Georgetown University, in my opinion, is the best clinical nurse leader program. Trained me well, and I'm sure I'm going to do amazing things in healthcare because I was trained at Georgetown. And I'm sure that my fellow cohort members, all 24 of them, together with 25, will do amazing things as well. Those of them who survive Christmas, because I'm predicting 5 to 10 will die before Christmas from COVID-19 because, nurses work 12 hours and, it's easy to get infected if you're a nurse. You may not, but you could. So, especially class of 2020, I think a lot of them will die. So I think hospitals need to hire a little extra, counting for the death of nurses by 2020 Christmas. So I think, hospital administrators have to calculate that in because nurses are going to die uh, before Christmas. And the question is how many, And if you're an administrator, hospital administrator, chief nursing officer, CNO, you have to calculate all that because you can't have a drastic shortage because like 10 nurses die in a couple weeks. So you have to calculate that in, yeah, because you can't get like 10 nurses all of a sudden from somewhere, right? So you have to kind of have a little bit overflow, preparing for that. Georgetown is scheduled to open, which I think is a big mistake. As much as I like to get involved in all the stuff that Georgetown campus has to offer, my priority as a healthcare, person is to save lives. And I think Georgetown University is making a big mistake opening a campus. You're gonna have I think hundreds of people will die in the fall at Georgetown because it's COVID-19. It's a global pandemic and it kills people. Look, it killed 1,171 people in 24 hours. And this is summertime. I mean, just walk outside. In Virginia, it's 100 degrees outside. I mean, it's a miracle the virus can survive that. But it does. It's spreading all over. Like North Carolina, South Carolina all have over 1,000 cases per day. So things are really bad. Um, yeah, and Virginia's having like around 1,000 cases a day. We even up to like around 1,500 last week. So we're going to become like South Carolina, North Carolina, and then we may even become like Georgia and Arizona. Georgia had like over 4,000 cases today because Washington D.C. is nearby. Once Georgetown opens, you're going to have flood of COVID-19 infections in Virginia State District, which is the closest to Georgetown because Arlington, you have the Keystone Bridge, that takes you over from Roslyn to Georgetown. So I mean, we're going to get it first. Yeah, so I worry about that, but I hope Arlington County Board and Arlington Public Schools will do the right thing and go 100% online with education, to minimize death. Same with Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. I hope that they will do that because I think that opening campus is a big mistake. Well, obviously, I'll be working as a nurse, so I'll be taking care of you and your children when you get COVID to come in. And obviously, I'll do the best I can to save you if you come to my unit. But yeah, I mean, but it's bad. It's bad because it's 1,107 people when people are dying right now, and this is summer. So during winter, you're gonna have so many more dying per day. Yeah, I just expect it. So I kind of feel bad. Kind of thinking about how many thousands of people may die in Virginia State District before Christmas. It's sad just thinking about it. We have the total death in America is 149,180 deaths. Confirmed cases are going up by a large number, 60,000 or so. And so we have 4,346,748 cases. Let's look at the top cases now. Deaths are starting to pick up, so the death rate will go up in California, Florida, and Texas as cases become more serious. So California right now is number one with 470,762 cases. 2% are dying, which is promising, but I think that's going to go up. Once more people die, because death rate kind of like cases will go exponential as well as hospitals run out of ICU beds and hospital space and nurses. So the deaths are at 8,677. Florida, we have 441,977. They're dying at 1%, which is, sounds good. Hopefully they can maintain their rate, but probably not, unfortunately. And so their death numbers are at 6,117. New York, basically the numbers are from the first peak, and they had 412,878 cases and 32,653 deaths, so 8% died. So I'm thinking probably California, Florida, Texas will eventually go to like 8 or 9% death once the deaths start picking up. Well, let's see, hopefully not. Texas is number 4th place at 407,427 cases, 1% death. So the rate is looking good. But again, we're not sure if it's going to maintain it at that rate. It may go up to 8 or 9%, like New York or New Jersey. Their death numbers are at 5,903. That's no joking matter, right? New Jersey, most of its death is from the first peak. They have 180,295 cases, and their death rate is 9%. And so they have 15,825 people who died. Yeah. So hepatitis, as you can see, millions are diagnosed with hepatitis every year, over 3 million Americans. 50% of the people who have hepatitis C don't know that they have it. And eventually it destroys your liver, and then you die. So obviously if you diagnose it, you can start treating the symptoms, and you have a better chance of living because once it develops into cirrhosis of the liver, your chance of dying becomes very high. So obviously you should get blood tests, to check. If you're having sex with somebody who's not your wife, um, let's say you have a sex with some woman, there's a chance you're going to get it because you don't know who has hepatitis C and who doesn't. You just don't know. Obviously, if there are 3 million, more than 3 million getting hepatitis C every year, in 10 years, you have 30 million people getting hepatitis C. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people in America die from hepatitis C. So it's not like, people are diagnosed with cases and no one dies. So far in America, more people have died from hepatitis C in year 2020 than COVID-19. So that puts it into perspective as to how serious hepatitis C is. Or hepatitis, all kinds of hepatitis. Hepatitis A, B, and C, and D, and E. But I think the numbers will shift. I think more people will die from COVID once flu season hits. But technically, so far, more people have died from hepatitis than COVID. It's like that every year. Every year, hundreds of people die from hepatitis. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people die from cancer. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people die from HIV. These are things that happen every year. Now with, COVID-19, let's say you don't know you have hepatitis C, but you do, chances are you're going to die. That may be the reason why we have so many deaths in America compared to, let's say, China or Japan or Korea. Because, China and Japan and Korea, they're a little bit sexually, conservative. So you're not going to have people like having a lot of sex with everybody. Just socially, so which means there's going to be less cases of hepatitis C or other kind of sexually transmitted diseases. And that may be one of the reasons that explains why people are not dying in large numbers, like in Arabic countries. Because in Arabic countries, you're not going to have Arabic women going around having sex with, like a lot of people. So they're not going to have hepatitis C. They're probably not going to have HIV. They're not going to have herpes. They're not going to have all kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. So so their body's immune system is stronger. They're able to fight off COVID-19 better than those with an immune system that's weaker, right? So that explains why we have so many cases compared to, let's say, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and, countries like this where they have a really strict Muslim law that hinders people from having sex, right? Because if you have hepatitis C or HIV or herpes or any kind of sexually transmitted disease, your immune system is lower, weaker. So, with the same kind of exposure, your immune system cannot fight off COVID-19. Obviously, COVID-19 is everywhere, but not everybody's getting it. So there's two steps, right? If your immune system is strong enough to fight off COVID-19, you're not going to get COVID-19. And that's so having a strong immune system is important because it can prevent you from getting any kind of disease, right? Whether it's cold or flu or hepatitis C or strep. If your immune system is stronger, you'll fight off the bacteria or virus, so you won't get the case in the first place. So that's like first line of defense. If you don't get it, you're not going to die from it. But let's say you get it and you have hepatitis C, HIV, herpes, other sexually transmitted disease. Once you get it, your chance that you're going to die is higher because while you have it, your immune system is having problem fighting it off. Whereas let's say you get it in like Saudi Arabia, but you don't have any sexually transmitted diseases, because you didn't sleep around with a lot of men as an Arab woman, then the chance that you're not going to die is higher because eventually your immune system may be able to fight it off. So there are two levels at which Americans are more prone to death because of, like sexually transmitted diseases. It's easier for Americans to get it in the first place. And once they get it, they could die more easily from it. So we get double whammy. And that's probably the case with Brazil as well. So sex is one way you transmit sexually transmitted diseases like hepatitis C. Um, Obviously, you could get hepatitis C by sharing needles, for people who do drugs, heroin or opium, you know, yeah, you could get it through needle sharing. Those are two ways you can get it. But yeah, so, healthy living is always good because it boosts your immune system, right? When there isn't a COVID-19, obviously things are better. But even when there isn't hepatitis C, there are a lot of illnesses that Americans get because they have sexually transmitted diseases that don't go away. Like hepatitis C, once you get it, it's forever. It doesn't go away. There's no vaccine. And that's one of the reasons why we're not sure if we're going to be able to develop a vaccine that works for COVID-19. We don't have a vaccine for hepatitis C. We don't have a vaccine for HIV. So those are problems, right, that you have to recognize. If you haven't been tested for like hepatitis and HIV, I would encourage you to go get tested. You go to Virginia Hospital Center or, get tested or get referral from your doctor. Because knowing that you have hepatitis C or HIV virus will kind of make you aware how vulnerable you are to COVID-19. Or maybe some other kind of sexually transmitted disease, right? Herpes or whatever. If you're having sex with anybody other than your wife, you should probably get tested for HIV and hepatitis C. And probably like other types of sexually transmitted diseases as well. Because you want to be in a tip-top shape before the flu season, right? If you have some kind of condition, you gotta be more careful, and you gotta get some medication to take care of or reduce the weaknesses that you would have from your condition, right? So you need to get tested. So I would recommend that if you have had sex with someone who's not your wife, you should obviously not do that. But if you did, get tested. You can always ask your doctor, can I get my blood test to see if I have, just to see, what my conditions are, I mean, the doctor has confidentiality, so get yourself tested. Um, yeah, there are 3 articles that are kind of important for today, and it's relevant, and I'm focusing on North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, because this is where we are. And what's happening in North Carolina directly impacts us because it's a bordering state. In South Carolina, it impacts us because whatever happens in South Carolina will happen in North Carolina, and it will come to Virginia. So I thought today we'll just focus on these 3 states in terms of articles, just to help you see where you are. So North Carolina sees new record high day of COVID-19 hospitalizations. 35th day of over 1,000 new cases. That's over a month. So it's a very serious situation in North Carolina. And the problem is we can describe this as a chronic condition, meaning it's been happening for a long time, over a month. So the worry is if this is happening like this in the summer, can you imagine what's going to happen during the winter, during flu season? You could have like 10,000 cases per day or 50,000 cases per day. We don't know. But it doesn't look good. Let's look at the quote. North Carolina saw its highest number of patients hospitalized for COVID-19 Tuesday, as the state reported its 35th consecutive day of at least 1,000 newly confirmed cases. The state reported an additional 1,749 coronavirus cases. We almost had that high, we're at around 1,500 one day this week, or last week actually. Going back to the article, bringing the state's total to 116,087. It's not known how many of these cases are active. So not knowing is a bad thing. That's why I'm saying get tested for HIV and hepatitis C or hepatitis B, because you may not know you have it, but if you have that condition, your chance of dying from COVID is like really high, maybe even 100%. So get tested so you know what you have before the flu season. 30 additional coronavirus deaths were reported overnight, bringing the total count across the state to 1,820. And let's look at South Carolina. Tuesday updates, that's today. South Carolina says 52 deaths. Look at that, 52 deaths. That's no joke, laughing matter. North Carolina had 30 deaths today. So South Carolina had 22 more deaths. And the case count is similar to North Carolina, a little bit lower, but they had more deaths. 1,573 new coronavirus cases. And the relevant quote from South Carolina is ICU beds. There are 1,448 total. There are now only 329 available, and this is summertime. Get this, this is not flu season, this is summertime. And so 1,119 are in use. So that's 77.28% utilization rate. So you can see how many people are going to die in the flu season, right? If there are like 52 deaths now during the flu season, it would be like 520 deaths or 5,200 deaths. Look at this. We're in the summer, and they're running out of ICU beds, right? It's not just about the bed, the furniture. It's about nurses, right? You need the nurses to take care of the patients in the ICU beds. So even if you make more beds, if you don't have nurses, it's pointless, right? Yeah, so that's what we're looking at here. It's really bad. So yeah, I mean, you have to expect thousands to die in South Carolina, thousands to die in North Carolina. Yeah, maybe per county, you're gonna have thousands dying in every county. It's gonna be horrible during flu season. Yeah, so you gotta brace yourself, and you make sure you write out your will because you may die. Make sure you know, I mean, you may die, your friends may die, so you can make a pact. Like if both of us die and our children become orphans, you raise our kids. You know, make a pact with your best buddies from high school. You know, yeah, you gotta provide for your children in case they become orphaned from COVID-19. Yeah, and Virginia imposes new COVID-19 restrictions in eastern part of the state. That the relevant quote is, there are 922 new positive coronavirus cases reported Tuesday, bringing the state's total to just under 87,000. So look at this. South Carolina and North Carolina both had very low count, but now they both have many more cases than us. Because like North Carolina, they had 35 consecutive days of like over 1,000, sometimes over 2,000 cases. So they're going to beat us in a short period. Once Georgetown University, George Washington University, American University, Howard University, Catholic University of America opens up, Virginia 8th District will again become the epicenter in Virginia. You know, we may quickly catch up to North Carolina numbers, total COVID case numbers, and we may even surpass them. So that's coming, you know, because South Carolina and North Carolina, they don't have like the capital, Washington, D.C. You know, we do. So that's one thing that South Carolina and North Carolina have going for them that we don't. Yeah, the relevant quote is very important, right? And to continue, the 7-day average, of new daily cases about 800 compared to more than 1,000 during state's peak in late May. That is not good news because we had a peak in May of over 1,000. We're close to that peak. We're at 800 per day average. And what's the difference between 1,000 and 800? Just a couple hundred, right? So what that is showing us is Virginia, we're in serious trouble. And, you know, luckily I'll be working at Virginia Hospital Center, taking care of you if you come to Virginia Hospital Center, you know, and you become my patient. So that's something that you have going for you. You're right. You're lucky in that sense. But things are going to get bad. On a serious note, things are going to get bad, and I'm predicting that thousands will die in Virginia's 8th District. And if the schools open up, thousands of children will die. Maybe tens of thousands of adults will die. Yeah, you brace yourself. Make sure you make out a will. Make arrangements for your children in case you die. Because you could die from getting COVID yourself, but you could also get COVID from your children if they go to school. So you could die because, you know, I mean, what are you going to not hug your children? You know, I mean, you could do all you can to avoid COVID everywhere else, but the moment you hug your child and he has COVID or she has COVID, and you don't know every day, you know, she could come back with COVID. Every day you hug your child, that's like, there's a chance that that's the day that you're going to get COVID that kills you. That's why, you know, that's one of the reasons why I'm saying close the schools down, because I want you to love your children and hug your children. If you're going to die from COVID, at least, you know, you can share love with your children without fear of your children, if your children are staying home, right? So there's a safe space for you. But if your children are going to school, every day there's no safe space. Every time you hug your child, that could be the time that you get COVID from your child. So for healthcare reasons, you know, because I'm sure you're careful around adults not to shake their hand or touch them and stuff like that. Most of you, at least those who are not insane. So, you know, as long as you're careful, your chance that you're going to get COVID is kind of low. You know, I mean, you can still get it, you know, but if your child goes to school, the chance you're going to get COVID is very high because every day could be your day you get COVID. What are you going to do? Not hug your child for the whole semester? So I'm looking out for you. You know, I'm looking out for your child's life, but it's not about only about your child's life. And it's not really only about your life. It's about happiness in Virginia's 8th District. I want you to be able to hug your children because they're staying at home, doing online classes at home, so you can hug them every day without fear of getting COVID from your child. And you need that space. You need that mental space, you know? I mean, maybe that's what's keeping you sane. So I'm looking at this from the whole perspective, you know, cura personalis. That's something that Georgetown emphasizes. I march for your life, not only your physical life, but the quality of your life. And I want the quality of your life to be good. You don't even know when you're going to die. And the least thing you can have is the hugging of your children, the love you can share with your children, you know, without fear. And it's a safe space. And your home should be a safe space, you know, and that's why I'm saying, you know, let's close down Virginia's 8 districts, school districts, and have 100% online, you know, because it's not just about the death. It's about your mental health, your children's mental health. Imagine if you don't hug your children for like, what? For like 4 or 5 months. And what if you die after that? I mean, your child will be traumatized until your child dies, you know, and so, yeah. And so, yeah, let's shut the schools down. Let's have online classes so you could hug your children every day and try to work at home. Work out with your employer to work at home so you don't have to go out of your work, you know, and you gotta find ways to make your family safe, right? It's up to you to make your family safe. You need to take time to focus on that. If you have children who are about to go to college, tell them to stay home, you know. If you have children who are graduated from high school and you have children who are men, I say send them to the military, U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. U.S. Air Force, U.S. Marines. Send them to the military. They're going to get paid, and how many years they work within the military, they're going to have enough money, you know, to pay for college, you know, GI Bill. It's not like they're going to be able to get a new job. You know, we're going to have COVID-19 for next how many years? No one knows. It could be like for the next 50 years or more. And we don't know when the vaccines are going to come out that's going to work effectively. We don't know if there's ever going to be a cure. Hepatitis C doesn't have a vaccine. HIV lowers the viral load through taking some antiviral medication, but it doesn't cure it. So there's no cure technically. There's no cure for herpes. There's no vaccine for herpes, right? So yeah, so you know, there are a lot of viruses for which there's no vaccine or cure, and people have been, you know, searching for those for many decades. Yeah, so you have to think of ways to protect your family, keep your family safe as long as you can. And so I'm offering advice to you that could help you and your family. And I recommend you take it just because even if all the schools are closed, we're still going to have cases because, you know, when you go shopping for food, you could catch COVID, you know, even if you have masks on, it only protects you like 40, 50%, maybe 30%. You know, I noticed that when I went shopping at Giant, like a lot of people were not wearing their masks correctly. So, if they talk to people who have COVID, they'll probably get it, even though they have it on, but it's not really on, meaning they're not wearing it correctly. So, yeah, so even if we shut all the schools down, we're going to have a lot of cases of COVID. Yeah, but reducing death, that's important. Yeah, reducing death. Harry agrees. Harry's like, yeah, we need to reduce death. We need to reduce death. You can see that in his eyes. Harry's eyes. Yeah. So I hope today's show was helpful to you. Think about ways to protect your family, your children from COVID-19. Yeah, flu season is coming very fast, and the cases are going up in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Death rates are going up. Yeah, it's not a good situation. Ideally, we flatten the curve before we enter flu season. Even if we flatten the curve as we enter flu season, cases are going to spike. But can you imagine what's going to happen at our current rate? Like going from 0 to spike is different from going from 1,000 cases per day to a spike or a new spike, because we are in a spike. Yeah, it's not going to be good. But anyway, thanks for dropping by. And I will bring more helpful information to you that's going to help you and your family survive COVID. So check in tomorrow at COVID-19 Update by Heerak. This is a daily show. And don't forget to vote for me on November 3rd, 2020. So I'll go to Congress. I'll do things to help you and your family survive COVID. That's why you need me there. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope that you'll be well and that your family will be well. Bye.